Life is full of relationships, connections, and seasons with people who come and go. Some bring blessings, some bring lessons, and some are only meant to walk with us for a little while. But one of the hardest things we face is when God begins to remove people from our lives. It can feel painful. It can feel confusing. We wonder, why did this friend leave? Why did this relationship end? Why did this door close? But let me remind you, when God starts removing people, He's not trying to hurt you. He's trying to protect you and position you. What walked away wasn't meant to stay. And if you'll stop chasing what God has already dismissed, you'll make room for the greater blessings He has in store. When someone exits your life, your first instinct may be to hold on tighter. You think, if I just explain myself, if I just try a little harder, maybe they'll stay. But here's the truth. When God allows a person to walk away, it's not by accident. God doesn't make mistakes. He sees the entire picture of your life from beginning to end. He knows the relationships that will help you, and He knows the ones that will hurt you. What may look like a painful loss to you is often divine protection from something you cannot yet see. Many times, we judge situations by how they feel in the moment. If it feels lonely, if it feels unfair, we assume it must be bad. But God's wisdom is far greater than our emotions. He knows conversations that happened when you weren't in the room. He knows the secret motives of the heart. He knows who truly supports you and who is only walking with you until it's convenient. That's why, when He starts removing someone, you don't have to panic. You don't have to beg them to stay. You can trust that God sees something you don't. Think about this. If you're traveling on a train, not every passenger is meant to ride all the way to your destination. Some get off at one stop, others at another. And that's okay. It doesn't mean the train is broken. It doesn't mean the journey is ruined. It simply means their part in your journey is finished. When you can trust God's wisdom in who exits your life, you'll ride with peace instead of with panic. The enemy would love for you to believe that every person who leaves is a rejection of you. He whispers, you weren't good enough. You did something wrong. That's why they left. But the truth is, sometimes their leaving has nothing to do with your value. It has everything to do with your destiny. God, in His wisdom, knew that if they stayed, they would limit you, distract you, or even delay you from the greater things He has prepared. Their exit is not rejection, it's redirection. When you learn to trust God's wisdom, you no longer cling to every relationship as if your future depends on it. You recognize that your future depends on Him alone. If a door closed, it's because He has a better door waiting. If a friendship ended, it's because He has aligned new people who will uplift you, encourage you, and push you closer to His purpose. The God who knows every hair on your head also knows who belongs in your circle. He won't allow the wrong person to stay longer than they should. Sometimes, God will even stir up discomfort in a relationship because He knows you would never walk away otherwise. You may have grown comfortable in a friendship, a job, or even a partnership that no longer fits the season you're stepping into. Instead of seeing the shift as something negative, begin to see it as God's hand moving pieces around, rearranging things to make sure you arrive exactly where you need to be. His wisdom never fails. And here's the beautiful thing, when you release people in faith, you are saying, God, I trust you more than I trust my feelings. I trust your plan more than I trust my own understanding. That's a powerful place to be. Because when you release, You open your hands for God to place something greater in them. As long as you're clinging to what He's trying to remove, your hands are too full to receive His best. Trusting His wisdom means believing that He never subtracts without the intention to multiply. So the next time someone walks out of your life, instead of asking, "Why did they leave?" begin to declare, "God, thank you for knowing what's best for me. Thank you for protecting me from what I couldn't see. Thank you for guiding my steps and aligning the right people for my destiny." That's what it looks like to trust His wisdom in separation. Not clinging to what's gone, but resting in the assurance that your Heavenly Father knows exactly what He's doing. It's easy to believe that when someone significant walks away, your future has somehow been diminished. Maybe it was a close friend, a mentor, or someone you thought would always be by your side. Their absence feels like a piece of your future has been taken with them. But the truth is this: your destiny is not tied to who left you. Your destiny is tied to the one who created you. No person has the power to cancel what God has ordained for your life. If someone could walk away from you, it's proof they were never meant to be a permanent part of your journey. People can encourage you, support you, or even walk with you for a season, but they are not the author of your destiny. Only God holds the pen. And when He writes your story, He doesn't need the approval, permission, or presence of anyone who left. His plan for you is complete all by itself. We often give people too much power over our future. We think, if they don't stay with me, I'll never get there. If they don't support me, I'll never succeed. But here's the truth: God doesn't need them to bless you. He doesn't need them to open doors for you. He doesn't need them to validate you. If they left, then they were never the key to your destiny. God was. And as long as you keep your eyes on Him, nothing and no one can stop His purpose in your life. Consider this: when people walked away from Jesus, when disciples turned back, when crowds abandoned Him, His mission didn't stop. His destiny wasn't tied to the approval of the masses. His destiny was anchored in His Father's plan. The same is true for you. You may feel disappointed when people leave, but your assignment, your calling, your future, they are untouched. God's hand is still on you. His promise is still alive. His favor is still leading you forward. When you understand this truth, you stop chasing after people. You stop begging them to stay, trying to prove your worth, or exhausting yourself to keep a relationship alive that God has already ended. Instead, you rest in the confidence that if they could walk away, they weren't necessary for the next level of your journey. You bless them, release them, and keep moving forward, knowing your destiny remains intact. Don't let the enemy deceive you into thinking you're at a disadvantage because someone left. Their departure may feel like a setback, but in reality, it's often a setup for something greater. The space they left behind is now room for God to bring the right people, the right opportunities, and the right resources into your life. Sometimes subtraction is actually preparation for multiplication. What you lost may hurt, but what God is bringing will heal and exceed it. It's also important to remember this: some people are tied to your history, not your destiny. They played a role in your past, but they don't belong in your future. If God allowed them to leave, it's because their part in your story is complete. Clinging to them will only weigh you down, but releasing them gives you freedom to step boldly into the new season God has prepared. You can't move into tomorrow if you're chained to yesterday. So the next time you're tempted to look back, and mourn who left, remind yourself, my destiny was never in their hands. It has always been in God's hands. People may leave, but God never will. Their exit doesn't diminish your future. It clears the way for God's greater plan to unfold. Your destiny is secure, unshakable, and unstoppable, not because of who walked with you, but because of who walks within you. One of the greatest challenges in life is learning how to release. We often hold on to people, places, and situations far longer than God intended. Why? Because they're familiar, they're comfortable, even if they're not good for us anymore. We cling to them because we fear the unknown. But here's the truth, as long as you're holding on to what God is trying to move out. You can't step fully into the new season He has for you. Letting go isn't loss. It's preparation for growth. Think of a gardener. In order for new branches to flourish, pruning has to take place. Old, dead branches must be cut away so the tree can produce healthy fruit. If the gardener refuses to prune, the tree will remain stunted, weighed down by what no longer serves it. The same is true in your life. Some relationships were fruitful in the past, but they've stopped bearing fruit. If you don't let go, you'll miss the new growth God wants to bring. The reason letting go feels so difficult is because it's not just about the person. It's about the memories, the habits, and the identity we built around them. Maybe you had dreams together. Maybe you leaned on them for encouragement. And now the thought of moving forward without them feels impossible. But remember this, if God allowed them to leave, it's because He already equipped you with everything you need to keep moving forward. They may have been part of your story, but they were never the source of your strength. When you refuse to let go, you end up stuck in yesterday. You replay conversations. You dwell on what went wrong. You keep watering something that's already dried up. And in doing so, you block yourself from experiencing the new blessings God has prepared. The longer you hold on to what's expired, the longer you delay your own growth. Don't miss what's next because you're too attached to what's past. Growth always requires space. You can't pour new wine into old wineskins, and you can't step into new seasons while clinging to old ones. When you release what no longer belongs, you create room in your heart, mind, and life for God to bring something greater. That greater could be healthier friendships, stronger opportunities, or deeper spiritual growth. But you won't see it until you unclench your grip and let God have His way. Letting go doesn't mean dishonoring what was. It doesn't mean pretending that person wasn't important or that season didn't matter. It simply means acknowledging that their role in your life is complete. You can still cherish the memories, but you don't have to carry the weight of trying to revive something God has already closed. By releasing them with gratitude, you position yourself for God's greater plan. And here's the beauty, every time you let go in faith, you grow stronger. You grow wiser. You grow more dependent on God. You learn that your joy doesn't come from people. It comes from Him. You learn that your identity isn't defined by who's standing beside you. It's defined by who lives inside you. Letting go may feel like loss, but in reality, it's a deepening of your roots in God's purpose and power. So don't be afraid of release. Don't be afraid of the empty spaces. Don't be afraid of walking forward without the people you thought would always be there. Because in every release, there's an invitation to grow. And in every empty space, there's room for God to do something new, something greater, something beyond what you could imagine. Sometimes God has to remove what is merely good in order to bring what is truly best. But because we grow attached to what feels safe, we often settle for less than what God intends. We think, this is comfortable. This is working. Why would I want to change it? Yet God sees what's ahead. He knows that holding on to what's familiar may keep you from experiencing the fullness of what He has designed for your life. His best will always surpass what you're tempted to cling to. Think of the Israelites in the wilderness. They cried out for the food of Egypt, longing for the onions, leeks, and bread they once had. But God wasn't taking them back to Egypt. He was leading them into a land flowing with milk and honey. Their desire to cling to the familiar blinded them to the greater blessing waiting for them. The same thing can happen to us if we're not careful. We'll be so focused on what we lost that we miss the abundance God is trying to bring. When a relationship ends or a door closes, it's natural to grieve. But don't confuse the end of a season with the end of your story. God never subtracts without the intention to add. If He allowed something to be removed, it's because He has already prepared something better. That better may not show up immediately, but in the waiting, He is building your character, strengthening your faith, and preparing you for what's to come. What's best is often hidden until you're ready for it. If God revealed it too soon, you might mishandle it. That's why letting go is so important. When you release what's no longer meant for you, you show God that you trust Him enough to wait for His timing. And when the time is right, His best will not just replace what you lost. It will exceed it in ways you couldn't have imagined. Don't fall into the trap of thinking the people who left were the only ones who could love you, support you, or walk with you. God has people lined up who will celebrate you, believe in you, and push you toward your destiny. Their voices will be louder than the absence of those who left. But they can't enter your life until you make room for them by releasing those who no longer belong. Sometimes God's best looks different than you expect. You may have envisioned your future one way, but God had a better plan. And though it may not look like what you pictured, it will feel like peace. It will align with His purpose for you, and it will bring fulfillment in ways you never thought possible. His best is not just about blessing you. It's about positioning you to bless others and glorify Him. Making room for God's best is really about surrender. It's about saying, Lord, I trust You enough to let go of my plans, my expectations, and even my relationships, so You can give me what aligns with Your will. That kind of faith unlocks doors that no person can shut. It releases favor that no circumstance can block. When you surrender, you don't just step into something new. You step into something divine. And here's the promise you can hold on to. God's best will never leave you empty. It will never drain you, diminish you, or distract you from your purpose. His best will strengthen you, grow you, and elevate you. But before He brings it, He often clears the space. That's why when people leave, don't chase them. Instead, lift your eyes and declare, God, I'm ready for Your best. Because what's coming will be greater than what you lost. So, my friend, the next time God starts removing people from your life, don't chase them. Trust His wisdom in separation. Remember that your destiny is not tied to who left. Release what no longer belongs so you can grow. And above all, make room for His best. Every goodbye is not the end of your story. It's the beginning of a greater chapter. Don't mourn what walked away. Celebrate what's on the way. The God who opened doors for you before will open them again. The God who brought the right people into your life before will do it again. And the God who promised to finish the good work He began in you will never leave it undone. Lift your head, dry your tears, and walk forward with confidence. If they left, let them go. If the season shifted, embrace the change. Because what God has prepared for you is far better than anything you've left behind. Your future is secure, your steps are ordered, and your best days are not behind you. They are still out in front of you.